I was in the law clerk, our little office, and I'm the only one sitting there. And he knocked on the door and opened it and said, "Hey, do you want to work on something interesting or cool?" And I was said, "Yes," not not hesitating to say, "Well, I think I'm actually assigned to this other team over there." I just, yes, absolutely, I do.
Well, hello, hello. I'm so excited today to introduce our guest, Kendra Carney Mehr. She is in California and she owns his own firm. And I was talking to her a couple days before the interview, and I'm excited that she can share with us really good insights about her journey as an attorney. How are you, Kendra?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today.
Well, it's a pleasure. So I want to go straight to the interview, and I just want that you can share with us what exactly you do in your firm.
Yes, thank you. My firm is called Carney Mehr Legal Corporation, and we are a land use firm. So my background is as a city attorney, which is where I really learned land use. And now I assist private parties predominantly to develop, redevelop, or modify their property and protect their property rights.
Nice, nice. In California. Okay, great. So, well, one of the first questions that I ask to everyone that come to the podcast is share with us an event that really impact your life as a person, as an attorney. And so we can learn from that experience that you went through.
That I'm happy to share, and hopefully it does encourage someone. But if you'll indulge me, I think I have one story from when I was really starting out at the beginning of law school, and then when I opened my own firm, a different story. But I think that original one prepared me to handle it a little bit better. So a couple of weeks before I started law school, and I had been accepted to the University of Illinois, and I was prepared to move, and I was having a little issue with my vision. So I thought I just probably needed to get my prescription checked and get a new pair of glasses, perhaps. And one of my very good friends suggested that I go see his dad, who's an eye doctor. And so I did, and something unexpected happened. He did the exam, and he said he needed me to go see one of his colleagues to just confirm what he was seeing. So, not really knowing what I was what was going on, he made a call. I went over to their office right away, and that additional doctor confirmed that I what they were seeing was a cornea, some type of cornea disorder. So the surface of the membrane of my cornea had lost its stickiness essentially. We have cells that regenerate constantly, and what was happening is that those cells were still regenerating, but instead of sticking and stacking, they were falling off. So it looked to them when they looked at my eyes that someone had walked over my eye with golf cleats, which made it impossible for me to refract light properly in the way that our eyes are intended to work. So everything was blurry. And not just a little blurry, everything was very blurry. So I left that appointment, went back to my first doctor, and had a very serious conversation with him and my parents about whether or not I should even attempt attending law school. All of them encouraged me to wait a year. I, did some fact finding, talked to the school I was supposed to go to. They very kindly offered to delay my admission by 1 year. But the problem I ran into is that no one could tell me that in a year I would be better. Instead, what they said was they didn't know. It could get worse. I could lose my vision entirely.
Wow.
And, I, that's very hard to grapple with. And I'm not sure even in the moment that I fully accepted that could happen. However, the possibility I certainly accepted, but I thought I better start school right away if this is actually what I want to do, because if I lose my vision, this will only get harder. Um, a- and it, thankfully, not only did my circumstances improve by the time I was practicing, but they did develop a surgery that was successful for me. But it wasn't until I was in my first year of practice that that was an option for me. So essentially, what that was like for me is I started school. I really wasn't able to see faces, even, how close we are together on the screen, you would have still been blurry to me. So even from just the social perspective, it was difficult to make friends because I couldn't tell who anyone was. So someone might have said hi to me. I'm more concerned about not walking into this wall while trying to enter the building. And also probably a little bit of pride. Maybe they're not saying hi to me and I just see motion to the side. And, so I don't want to just say hello. So it was hard to meet other students. And then every assignment I'm doing, I'm reading here, like bent over reading with
Oh
like
my.
nose and literally in the book, and then trying to type and my face right up against my laptop screen. And it was hard. There were many days where I came home from school and called my mom and was struggling with just how difficult it was just to see, which is something, I think many of us take for granted all day long. And in my second and third year, whatever combination of drops and the little bit of the correction that they were able to provide with classes was improving. And I remember when we finally had in my first year of practice, this surgery. And when the first time that I could really see again, and I noticed this different colors in this pile of dirt that I was passing at a construction site every day. And I noticed the variation and being able to see again was amazing and a gift that I will never ever take for granted again. But
You know what? I, I, I understand that because a couple years ago, 5 years ago, they told me that I have cataracts.
mm,
And I didn't understand what exactly it says. I look, it's so bright for me. And when they removed that, I said to my wife, "Are you kidding me? The colors of the trees and everything is just amazing."
right? Yes.
And yeah, and I was like, the world changed, you
Yes.
know? So that was a big challenge for you at school, because I know that everyone has their own challenges, nothing is
Absolutely.
easy, sometimes can be the money working in the same time and doing a lot of things. But I think that mentally it was hard, not being able to see clearly.
I, yes. And I think, perhaps a little bit of our survival instinct, you sort of compartmentalize that fear of there was a lot of uncertainty in my situation. What does this look like? Let's assume I get through school and I still have some amount of vision left, or it stays the same. Even what does that look like for me to be a practicing attorney who's having a hard time seeing? Right? I mean that was there was a lot of uncertainty, but I think we all make decisions daily whether to sit in fear or whether we step out in faith. And, I do think for me, there's a certain part of that that's faith. You have a calling. I hope I walk worthy of the calling and I pursue it. But, I think for all of us, even in the little things, we have these moments where we have a choice to let an opportunity slide by or to seize it. And, I think that a lot of times choosing faith over fear is just, it makes all the difference in where you end up.
Life is a reality. I
Yes.
totally agree with you. I know that life is hard, but we can be life can start to be easy when we understand how to handle hard things in our life. We can do hard things. How was that transition, to start your own law firm?
Yes, thank you. So I'd say, um, my career path, I've been fortunate to have a few wonderful attorney mentors that I've encountered. One working, I was a law clerk at the U.S. Attorney's Office,
You,
which
you,
was an amazing
you can
experience.
mention her name. You can mention their names if you want to.
Oh,
That's good.
well, thank you. Well,
We're talking good about other attorneys. You are able to mention names.
okay, thank you. Happily. My mentor there, Orlando Gutierrez, literally talking about opportunity knocking. I was sitting there in my first week and I was assigned to a different unit and I was in the law clerk, our little office, and I'm the only one sitting there. And he knocked on the door and opened it and said, "Hey, do you want to work on something interesting or cool?" And I was said, "Yes." Not hesitating to say, "Well, I think I'm actually assigned to this other team over there." I just, yes, absolutely, I do. And thankfully, because he still is an incredible mentor to me, and I'm so fortunate that we've stayed in touch this whole time. I mean, that was 2007 that I was there. So, but he shaped how I want to, how I hope to encourage others. And he always just said, just pay it forward. And he also, though, shaped how I want to practice as an attorney. And the same thing later. One of probably my most formative job I had was when I worked for the city of Long Beach as in the city attorney's office. And uh, two attorneys I worked with there, Bob Shannon and Mike Mays, Mike especially, because we just worked daily together. They also just like eh, the type of person Mike is and the way he practices, it gave me this great model for how I want to be and how I like to treat people daily in life too, not just as an attorney, but especially as an attorney, because I think we've lost some civility in our practice overall. And, I really strive for that. But that really gave me this great education, not only in land use, but in taking on an issue that you might not really know how to handle. So cities encounter all types of issues. At the time I was there, we were dealing with trying to allow medical marijuana when the state wasn't allowing it yet, and the federal government it was illegal federally, but yeah, we were tasked with coming up with some sort of regulation to allow it in the city. And between that work and then trying to come up with policies to allow law enforcement or the fire department to use drones for safety, all of those things, it gave me this confidence in my ability to tackle issues that I had not yet encountered, and perhaps that there wasn't clear law established for yet. But so then when I set about starting my own firm, I have to give my husband credit because I think he really encouraged me and enabled me to take that giant leap into quitting a job that I was good at, and it was at a firm. I had gone from the city to a great firm, and that I was happy at. But he really encouraged me to take the step that I've been talking about for a long time, and as well as a couple of very good friends of mine that had started their own businesses. And I think everybody I know who has done it would say they would never go back. And I feel the same way. I encounter all kinds of challenges daily, weekly, but it's still the satisfaction and the privilege to serve others in this way is incredible. So when I started, it's scary to go from working for a firm where your work is provided to you, and yes, you're still marketing and ideally bringing in clients yourselves, which thankfully I had the ability to have a couple come in that way. But you go out there and you don't really know what's going to happen. And so when I started, my husband and we were also wanting to have children, and probably having a little not a break from work, because fortunately I had work immediately when I left, but not to the degree I had been working to prior to leaving. So probably that little bit of somewhat of downtime. Um, I ended up a couple months after starting my own firm also being pregnant, and at that was not my plan necessarily with the timing. I would never change it now, of course, but so I left my firm that I was at in late 2018. I officially opened my doors in January 2019, and I had a baby in November of 2019.
Oh my.
Uh, that was many, many, many adjustments, right? And I think too, you know, you know how to be an attorney. No one ever really teaches you this is how you run a business. And you may have spent time with babies and you have all this time to prepare for the baby coming, but until you are holding that baby in your arms, you really don't know what you're getting into. I think.
The pandemic was really close too. It started in 2020. Is that right?
Yes. So then everything changed again because my son was 4 months old when everything shut down from COVID. And I didn't know what that would look like. And thankfully, I think, the legal industry continued, and I still had, my firm has grown and grown and grown year after year, thankfully, throughout COVID, throughout having a second child, it's, and
So that means you have 1 year with your business, learning about how to handle, because you are right. No one in college, even me that I studied business administration, they don't teach us how to run a business. We have an idea, we read books.
Mhm.
And after that, you got pregnant, was a really nice feeling, and can be a surprise, like you said. But there's a lot of feelings there, and when my wife was pregnant, she cannot cook my favorite food from my country, because she said I cannot smell that because it's she felt that it was horrible, I was thinking, oh no, that's my favorite food, you know. So
Yes.
as boys, sometimes we don't understand all those things, but it's a lot of feelings and emotions, and the body's changing. And besides that, in the beginning of 2020, the COVID hit, So what a challenge, Kendra. What a challenge.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yes, for good allows you to with those hard things allows you to grow your business. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yes, yes, and I think too, okay, so, to bring them together, 'cause this is my intent when I wanted to mention the first thing too. I think, both, having had that very difficult experience of not of not being able to see well, um, or really, that blurriness. I feel like not being able to see well doesn't accurately describe what it was like, but, having gone through that, and, I think it helped to develop my character and a certain amount of resilience, so that I mean, between pregnancy and certainly COVID for everybody, right? But that's just constant change because no one really knew what was happening or what to expect, especially initially. And you don't know what's going to happen. So I think again, though, it goes back to we can choose through each moment, and it's simple too. Sometimes, opportunity that comes up, we can choose in each moment whether we sit in that fear and allow ourselves an excuse or a reason not to act, which sometimes is perfectly reasonable, right? And we all do it. I do it too. But we also have that choice in all of these moments to have faith that, we have this purpose and to pursue it. And am I afraid of failing? Absolutely. But I also know that, I again, like I would go back to that resilience that was developed as the result of this significant adversity that, I have the confidence that I will be able to achieve what I am called to do. And I think too, like the ability to serve others, which is at the end of the day is, what we're doing. We're advocating for others, we're serving others. It's a great privilege.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so everyone that is watching and listening, I love this part that Kendra is sharing with us. That we can do hard things, and when we go through hard things, even that we are not looking for that, just come to our life like normal things, those are the things like Kendra says that can help us to receive strength and understand that in the future we always in doing hard things. I love that part. The other thing that you mentioned that I love is like, okay, you have a problem with your vision when you were in college, and I want to relate that a mentor can allow all of us to see more clear, to see to have a better vision. So you are mentioned that the motivation from your husband, and the motivation from this mentor allows you to see more that path, that it was totally different from the path that you were in. So, what would be an advice that you want to share with the audience, um, about just building their own uh, business and firm? What do you think is going to be something key that you can tell everyone? You mentioned to have faith. You all those hard things will help you, but is there something that comes to your mind that you can say, "Hey, um, this is an advice that I can give you. You're building your own law firm."
I mean, I think the first thing that comes to mind is just that encouragement that you can do it. Being an attorney is is also, just being an attorney is hard. We encounter all kinds of uh, difficult conflict, whether it is a challenge in having to, come up with an argument given the facts that you're dealt, or just sometimes dealing with, people. People are people, and we all have our challenges there. So I think having that knowledge that you can do it and you're already doing hard things. We all are encountering hard things. It, life is not easy, and those hard things do shape us. And I think draw some strength from that, and just know like you're going to continue to face hard things. I don't think owning a business is a drastic learning curve, and I don't think I've crested the top of that yet. Certainly,
I'm
you
still
know.
walking with that.
Yes, yes, and
Many ends.
as my firm continues to grow, thankfully, and I add, attorneys to the practice, I'm still learning, and the practice of law is still hard, and I think hard things are worth doing, though, right? So, and these learning experiences and these challenges are rarely fun or comfortable while you're in them, but I think everyone can look at things that they've accomplished, and it doesn't have to be a big thing, right? Like we all have challenges, and I think you draw from that, and that, and then you have that faith that really enables you to go forward. And so, I think having, drawing that confidence, you're already doing hard things and you can do it, is important. I also think, talking to people who are doing it already is so encouraging. I mean, and also because I think a lot of people, like, I mean, whether even friends of mine that aren't attorneys but had started their own businesses, you could learn from that. And I think there's so much value there from learning from others. And I think you can kind of relate to this as a parent, right? I know you're four girls, and it one of the challenges in parenting, and my boys are young, but you tell them you want to prevent them from experiencing the harms that you've experienced, right? And you're as a parent especially, you are more than willing to correct and advise, and even at a young age they're not always willing to take that advice, or follow that direction. And some of these things in life we do just have to learn through a tough experience. But I think that in a similar way, other attorney mentors, other business owner mentors, I think people, when approached and asked, are happy frequently to share their own experience and to give advice. And you only can learn from that, and it might just set you up better that maybe you don't have to fall quite so far back down that learning curve to learn that lesson. And sometimes I think it's as simple as, hey, this software works great for this purpose. And then you don't have to sort of bumble around and try 5 different versions and, switch your whole system each time. You can learn from that. So I think those two things, like one, you can do it, but two, seek out that knowledge from the people who went before you, because there are people out there that are happy to help you, myself included. I'm always willing to share and talk to anyone who's interested, whether it is, up and coming attorneys, attorneys new in their practice, or just other colleagues that want to go out on their own.
That's nice. That's really nice. I love the way they mentioned to the learning curve. Every time that we want to accomplish something, we need to have the discipline to go through the learning curve.
Mm-hmm.
I call them the failure process. You need to go through that failure process fast. You don't need to stay all the time there crying and thinking, I cannot do it. That's part of the deal, like you were mentioning. That's nice. I have two more questions. The other question that I have is that how do you balance your life, your personal life, and as a spouse, as a mother, and as an attorney? How do you how do you balance that?
It's a great question. And I think a hard question. I don't have the best answer to that. What I think is just the reality, right? Is that I strive to do the best I can in every moment. And sorry, Gilberto, I might
That's okay. That's
not just choked up here. And that's the true reality of working at home, right? I mean, I'm in a home office. Um, okay, so I would say, I don't have it. I don't have I haven't figured out, and I don't but what I think is I strive to be in the moment that I'm in, and to be in that moment, to be the best mom, best wife, best daughter, best attorney, certainly, that I can be. And the reality of that is that when I have best day as an attorney, like, let's say I'm in trial. I did a 3-week trial when my youngest son was 8 months old. That was hard, and honestly, I don't know how I survived that, other than with the intense support from my family. But there's no way that I was the very best mom on every day that I'm in trial, because you just can't be present in 2 places. So I think getting to a point of acceptance, of that reality is the best way to then be that best mom when I get home and when I'm spending time with my kids, because then, you have to focus, right? But you have to also accept that you cannot be everything in every moment.
Yeah.
That's hard. I don't think I've
It's hard
mastered that yet.
for everyone, even for me. So I agree with you. The way that you say it, I love it because essentially we are learning as business owners as well that when I'm with my spouse, I need to try to be 100% there in that moment. I'm
Mhm.
taking a dinner with my kids. I need to start to intentionally, like you said, thinking I need to focus on this and be with them at this moment. And when I go out, I just gonna that's something that I'm still working in that. It's not never ends. But I love the way that you said. Well, the last question that I have for you: how what do you do to get clients? You're doing marketing and you're doing by referrals. I love to see that you are successful. And I want that everyone can understand. That part of the success is not making millions of dollars. It's just balance life. And enjoy the journey. But what do you do to get clients?
So, I think what has worked the best for me it is networking relationships. So the primary way that I get clients is by referrals. Or, people that I've met in, whether it's networking or just, happenstance sometimes. But that person to person type of referral. I actually didn't have a website until this year, 2024. And, I think that I shouldn't have had a website sooner. In this day and age, absolutely. A website gives a certain amount of credibility to any business. And, but I think it was just one of those things that I'm working hard as an attorney and I don't know how to build a website. And so, it kind of fell to the bottom of the list repeatedly until and I think this is part of it too, like finding people who do like finding somebody who does marketing and can make you this beautiful website. And that is their business. Accepting too that hey, I'm not going to be able to do it all, nor do I want to, right? Like, I don't want to take time away from my family outside of my work practice to learn how to make a website. And it wouldn't be anywhere close to as good as what this great team created for me. So I think, but having that too, like, I'm slowly growing, venturing out into doing more marketing. But I think, at a certain, uh, that fundamental part of starting a business was, well, I'm the one doing the work, and, you know, I work hard and I have been successful. I've had good outcomes, right? I have a positive outcomes for my clients. And that doesn't mean that I win everything, certainly, but I really strive, even if the answer is no, because it just doesn't work with the law. I strive to get my clients an outcome that is as close as possible to what their goals are. Um, and so I think that working working hard, but then knowing my own limitations with marketing is a great example of that. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
So relying then on other
Understand that
outlets.
because I own a marketing agency as well, and I understand that. I was talking with a guy that I built my own website, and I said, "Man, you look so good in person, but you don't look good in your website. Do something better, so people can, especially when I met people like you, that they are good people, they're good people trying to help the community, and serve the people in their issues, and that's when I said, wow, these people need to have the best marketing. More people need to know them, so I totally agree with you. Well,
I really appreciate what you're doing though too. It's a lot of times I get asked about, a legal issue, but people don't usually get to know the human side of being an attorney. So I really appreciate that you're putting that out there.
yeah, I think that you are a psychologist as well. In the same, they're doing two
I'm
roles,
trained.
and if they are moms, they're doing even better. It's a
Mhm.
PhD of these kind of things. Well, thank you very much, Kendra, for being with us today. So I even learned a lot of things too. I like your experience about the vision, the issue that you have in the beginning, so everybody can feel empathy. That is not easy to go to school and study all those years, and trying to survive, working and being a mom and all those type of things in the same time, but it's possible to do it. How important is that um, that have a mentor, that can help us to open our eyes, and understand better the path that we can take, and I think that mentorship is really important, like you mentioned, and always is good people, like you said, Mr. Gutierrez. Do you say Gutierrez was his name?
Yes, yes.
Mr. Gutierrez, and the way that you said right now, and that's a beautiful effect, Mr. Gutierrez helps you to and motivate you because he said he came to me and says, "Hey, you want to do something cool?"
Yeah.
And your brain is like, "Okay, what is it?" And a mentor looking and sharing opportunities to other people. And like you said, I would love to be a mentor as well. It's as humans, we always love to serve others, especially when we remember and are humble to remember that someone helped us as well, because that's a reality of life.
Absolutely.
Um, how beautiful was that you was able to grow your business, even with the pandemic, hit, and I can feel how happy you are, even that you do hard things helping the community. Is there something else that you want to share before we go?
No, I mean, I feel like we covered the high points. I think just, hopefully this encourages someone else if they're thinking about it, it's, it I'm fortunate that I love what I do, and that doesn't mean every day of work is a great day. There's realities, right? We all have to do some things with our jobs that maybe, or maybe I hope there are people out there that love every single minute. Not every minute of what I do is always fun, but I'm so appreciative of where I've gotten to at this point, and I would just encourage anyone else out there who's thinking about it. You can do it, and it doesn't mean it's easy or that every minute is fantastic, but it is so worth it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being with us, Kendra.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching and listening. If you're an attorney with your own law firm, we know you have valuable experiences to share. Reach out to us. We would love to interview you and bring your story to life on our show to inspire others attorneys in their journey.